Hello again.
Hello.
Welcome back to our podcast.
Yes.
So we're actually filming a double episode today, purely based on the fact that after we finished the first one, the previous one, we had another idea where we wanted to just squeeze in a quick one. So same setting, same snacks today.
Mm-hmm.
And then, let's dive into it. So the topic that came to our mind was about trends. And I know that we've got a lot to say on this topic. So maybe we can just do a brief introductory session. And then, because I think that this is something that we're going to be going back to, it is a huge topic. And I, for one, am excited to jump into it. And when we say trends, we're talking about how different trends come up, different advertising opportunities, and how to understand like the difference between a trend and a fad, and how you can adopt that into your brand, into your business, into your product, and how to market it, how to use it to connect with your customers. And I know that you have got a lot of experience on this after your time at Pinterest. So I'd love to just hear your thoughts on it. Open question.
I love this topic. I mean, definitely, I can share a bit like 2 cents on how I see trends, and I think I always like to zoom out a bit and look at trends in general, regardless of how Pinterest uses them as part of like a very robust business model. Before that, Google Trends is there for a reason, and if I want to zoom out and look at any business into like branding and marketing and advertising, you have your own data that is internal that gives you insights. That's internal insights. And then you have external data that's happening in the world around you that informs you. And when you join both, it creates intelligence.
Yeah.
And those two together are very powerful because you take your data and you see how it corresponds with how consumer trends are shaping psychological aspects, political events, you name it, macroeconomic shifts, and so on. And to bring that all together, why are we starting why are we zoomed out? Because sometimes you could cross-pollinate from the external, like you would go into Google Trends, you could look at Pinterest because they have search functionalities that give you an insight into what is top of mind, what is being searched, what are the queries.
I love Google search.
And you can specifically predict how something is going to build up. So search trends are a big aspect of this. Amazon uses a lot of those to kind of choose what products to show you and so on, and it's that's why it's when it's combined with your data, it becomes like a very robust intelligence mechanism. Now, if we want to dive in more and say, okay, what are trends? Like there are some trends that live short and the others are longer. Usually, if a trend is strong, it is lasting for 6 months up to years even. And they become viral in a way, and they become the talk of town. And then you have short bursts of trends, which at Pinterest we use to kind of differentiate them, and we would say those are fads.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. And the best way you could understand what is a fad is something that would last for a week, 2 or 3, and then would die off. And it could be something that was trending from an event, like from the Oscars, or let's say a TV show or something. And then, people caught up to it. There was a conversation. It was a controversial topic, or a finale of a season, or a movie that shocked. So that is not a trend that lives on. It's just a momentary thing which you can hijack in a way.
Would you say Barbie was a trend or a fad?
I think Barbie lived way more than a couple of weeks. It went through phases, and it started picking up more interest with time. And you'd see brands that you'd never expect to adopt that trend.
It was everywhere.
Yeah,
really everywhere.
I think Barbie was more than a trend; it was an aesthetic. It was a statement. I think, but like there are trends that are that lived for long, and I'll give you an example. For example, like Netflix when they talked about when Netflix premiered Queen Gambit.
Mm-hmm.
There were lots of people who started playing chess as a trend, and chessboards were selling like hotcakes back in the time. So that's a trend, and it actually lasted for a while.
Yeah.
And therefore, if you were like a toy store or an e-commerce business that had this in your products, you could have leveraged creative in part, borrowing from the trend to refresh your copy, to add some humor, to be relevant, to culturally get closer to your customers. And that's the power of a trend. And when you trend jack that in a communicative, well thought campaign, whether it's a full fledged campaign or a very specific short burst, you are tapping into a moment. A moment in time where attention is high, and trends bring attention. Attention brings conversions. Conversions bring money. And that's why trends are important. Now, trends could be different. Like, there are trends that are cultural, as we talked about, but there are recurring trends. And those recurring trends are seasonal. You expect them. And now like we're calling them trends, but they're like, again, they're moments, they're seasonal events that are cyclical in a way. So you would say summertime, summer festival, or Christmas, holiday gifting, and Ramadan, for example. Lots of those vary in different cultures. Chinese New Year's. So that's why it is super important as a marketer, as a creative, as an advertiser, to pre-plan. Look at your marketing calendar. Look at what is seasonal. Plan 70% of the time and keep a 30% for just
Pareto principle.
Or like surprise. A Netflix show, something that Taylor Swift has done.
Because sometimes things are going to pop up. We cannot predict them.
A crazy statement done by a politician that could be twisted in copywriting that is brilliant in order to tap into a specific product or service that you provide. And that's witty, funny, gets people to talk about you, gets you the awareness, and then you will see better results.
And would you say it's worth it? Because if we're thinking about the difference between a trend and a fad, obviously we don't know whether certain, like these popping trends, we don't know whether that's going to turn into a trend, right? It depends often on how it carries, how far it's going to go. We don't know whether it's going to turn into a trend or a fad. Would you say that, and obviously we don't want to be jumping on all of the fads because we'd be spending our time constantly just running around trying to jump on things that we think might catch wind, and that's going to take time away from the other things that are really going to move the needle. Would you say it's worth it to maybe pull back for a couple of days before jumping on something to see if it's still going? Or would you say that's too long to wait? Do you need to kind of hedge your bets on just certain things that pop up and say, okay, we're going to go for it on that one? Or is there a strategic way of managing something, whether it is figuring out if it's a trend or a fad?
I think most of it is speculation because you don't know how much it's just going to build up. But there are things that become very clear to you based if you have like sentiment analysis, like if you have social media management tools and sentiment monitoring, you could see how much it is blowing up in a way, but it can still be a fad. And then if you look at the timeline, you say, okay, if it has passed this a critical moment of like 3 weeks to a month, then most likely it could be a trend. But like trends are much more than that. So let's look at Pinterest. So Pinterest releases every year. Pinterest predicts, and that is backed by a lot of like research and looking at their internal data and working with other vendors and looking into a whole ecosystem of intelligence in order to bring you that prediction. And it's and what happens is like 80% of the predictions hit, which is a really good high number.
Yeah.
And it means like if I say, I'll give you an example. Last year or 2 years ago, there was this trend called dopamine dressing. And it was all about being super colorful, super expressive with how you dress. And you mix out different colors. They're vibrant, they're striking, they're screaming.
You mean as we were in COVID and we were dressing in beige loungewear?
We were in our PJs, loungewear. We weren't going out because of lockdown. There has been, you've been shopping online but not wearing what you're. So it was a way to kind of show, hey, the world is open again, and I want to be loud and proud, and I want to be seen, and I want to be happy, and going through, winters and very challenging times from a mental health perspective and stuff. So dopamine dressing was something that they've predicted that happened. And then you'd go to e-commerce and brands and you say, look, when you advertise those products that are going to match with the trend. There are trends that are more aspects like where you find a lot of people searching for mental health, for example, release, like, I don't know, let's say spas and plants at home and biophilic designs and all that kind of stuff. So if you're IKEA or if you are, I don't know, BO Concept and so on, you would tap into that. So it gives you an insight on what to advertise, which products, or how to plan for your photo shoots for your campaigns. So that is a very early, proactive, pre-planning phase that would help you win the game as an advertiser comparing to your competitors because of you tapping into a trend that is backed by enough data to help you reach the audience who are searching and the future audience that are going to catch up to that trend in a way. So this is the fact with what you see mostly are trends because you have a searching functionality. TikTok on the other side is very fad driven, which is you have trending soundtrack, music, dance, lives on, ice bucket challenge, all those kind of old things that we used to see. Those are fads. You cannot right now go and do this ice bucket challenge or the other challenges that are there because it is a fad. You either hit or miss. And going back to your question, I know I mumbled a lot, but you cannot tell. Time tells. But you can have systems and tools to give you indications towards if this is a trend or a fad, and is it worth for me to jump on that or not. The only thing you need to make sure that you are equipped with is quick decision. Hell yes or hell no. Yeah, that's it. Because speed is power.
Speed is power.
Yeah. And it's the first adopter advantage.
Yeah, that comes down to everything with marketing in these days. Especially when it comes to performance marketing, we have to be making quick decisions. We have to be getting so used to looking at the data and working with the data that none of this should be new, right? None of this should be new. It even ties into like A/B testing, whether you make the decision of, so you could even compare when you see a trend popping up, the decision to go for it or the decision not to go for it. It's the same as when you're testing something big and you're putting a lot of money into that test. Do you make the decision to kill it or do you wait for a little bit longer? So I think it's like, to underline what you were saying about speed is power, it is also about exercising this muscle that you constantly need to be making these fast decisions. And I think the more that you do it, the easier it becomes. And sometimes you're going to miss it. And sometimes, you're going to end up investing in a trend that is not like that flops, that turns into a fad and it's gone after 3 days. Sometimes you're going to catch it. And I think that this is something that is really important in marketing, to not be afraid to fail, right? Because if we're constantly going around thinking, oh, I don't think I'm going to invest in that because I don't know if it's going to work, then we're never going to be able to innovate, and you are never going to be able to catch the wind of those trends that do become long trends. I mean, to go back to what you were saying, like this biophilic, having plants in the home, that's been going for, I don't know, that must have started in like, I became aware of it in like 2017, and it's still going now. That's like almost 8 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it becomes, that trend is so powerful, it becomes lifestyle, you know?
Yeah.
And one thing, like, I wanted to add is trends are an excellent opportunity for you to refresh your tone and have, for example, a heuristic approach to things. I think about like one thing. Remember when those activists were going all around museums and spilling soup over paintings that are super expensive?
Yeah.
Okay, there are three, at least top of my mind. I'm sure if we spend some more time, we'll find more examples. But three advertisers or three industries that are totally different that can actually capitalize on this moment. And it went through a couple of capitals around the world. Number one, a cleaning detergent brand can say, well, we could remove those stains of your walls and your paintings or whatever, but we cannot secure the painting will stay alive because of our strong removal, whatever.
Yeah.
And it could be like a very heuristic approach. Second one would be a soup brand like Campbell or whatever, like, you can say, like, our soups are not that sticky.
Yeah.
They're digestible and whatever, and like have fun with it, right? And it's going to become memorable.
Yeah.
A third brand could be like, I don't know, a B2B fiberglass supplier that kind of goes in and says, had museums around the world protected their paintings with our fiberglass, they wouldn't have fallen into this problem. You know, and just like, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's super, you know. Then again, a travel brand can say, yeah, avoid Paris. Go to, I don't know.
Because all of the paintings are ruined.
Yeah. Go to this new place where the new art scene is rising.
Yeah.
All that, you know. So it's just so amazing. There's like, I don't buy people say, oh, we don't have ideas, we don't have concepts. If you have the will, you have the way, and you have to think in a really witty, humoristic, take it in a fun manner within your brand guidelines, but no risk, no reward.
No.
Because you could be featured in the best, like that viral piece of content is going to give you publicity, which is going to get more people into your marketing funnel. That could actually have a lasting effect on your next 6 months.
Yeah.
So it's low cost, but it's high reward.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. One more example I've seen this week. It's amazing. So remember, like we were talking, and have you heard of this banana that sold for 6.5 million? I forgot the number.
Yes.
And it was like that banana that is stuck on a wall.
Yeah.
And it created a huge controversial discussion about like value of creativity and art and so on. And we're talking about this, and like Aldi goes in, runs a lower funnel campaign, takes a banana, sticks it,
sellotapes it.
And then they took their avocados, they took their grapes and stuff, and they stuck them all, and they didn't need any design, any template. It's just one cheap photo shoot.
Yeah.
Or even if maybe it was just photo edited, easily done. And they just tapped into a moment that is hyped.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to find good results from that campaign. I'm curious to see like how this works for them. So if anyone of you is watching, please comment, let us know.
Yeah.
If that campaign, from Aldi or their agency, if it performed well. Yeah, I think that's what I have about trends so far.
Good. I like that, and especially with the Aldi example. I mean, I don't know if you already like had those examples in your mind with the soup, but I was like, you were just reeling them off, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I get inspired by those conversations. It's a nice light topic. I've been working with trends for a while, and I think it's this space that provides a new perspective. Like if you're bored of your like brand guidelines, trends are the new fresh air that you could borrow, and a lot of creativity comes out of it.
Yeah.
So the soup example just came out as we were like talking, and I was just like saying, yeah, I mean, it just trends are not made for one advertiser, even if it happened to an industry that is close to that event.
And I think the further away you are from the event,
the greater the shock effect.
Yes.
And the more smart the connection.
Yeah. Like, I love it when I see trends and, like you said, completely unexpected brands can jump on it. And I'm like, that takes skill. And that is what makes me, like, that's what makes it more memorable almost. Because you're like, oh, do you remember? I don't have any examples that come to mind now, but I'm like, do you remember when that happened? Like, it really sticks in your mind.
Yeah, I mean, look, I remember I saw something like about, we talked about Barbie briefly, but yeah. I remember Heineken, they're really good with that kind of stuff. They had this ad and they had Heine, and then they had Ken alone, and Ken and Barbie, and then like they played around.
Energy.
Yeah, that text, and it was just like really. I really forgot the ad. It's been a while ago, but like it was really a nice, subtle outdoor campaign that caught my attention.
Yeah, nice. Cool. Well, I feel like I've learned a lot from you there, because I really wanted to like get into your brain and understand how you see the whole trend topic.
Yeah, I would say like as well. I would learn from the part of the performance when you tap into a trend. If it's very interesting for me to see how much the campaigns that follow a specific stunt done with a trend, how much uplift it gives in performance.
Incremental value.
Yeah. I think if we're able to kind of find and link that attribution to a stunt, more brands are going to feel much more comfortable to experiment. But they just need that data.
In the end, it's like bringing new eyes. Like, a trend has the opportunity to bring new eyes onto the business. So, for example, many people that interact with, if we take the Heineken brand, many people who interact with Heineken are probably, I mean, they're likely going to know of Barbie, but they're not really maybe going to think of it because it's typically pretty far away. But then the minute they see Ken, I'm not saying that they're going to run out of the door and go and see the Barbie movie, but it's going to be top of mind. Maybe they recommend it for their daughters, for their, like something else. It's tapping into a new set of ideas, a new set of potential recommendations from people.
Yeah, and it doesn't need to be even Barbie, like a specific. If, let's say, Real Madrid, Barcelona, or Manchester United is playing Liverpool, the score is a trend itself. You can play around and see if it was like a really specific, hat trick of 3-0, and you build on that because there's going to be at least 1 week of conversation about that game, especially in the market you're serving.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
You have everything. We're in a very quick moving economy and attention economy. You could just launch a campaign within 1 day that's super relevant, super hyper localized, and reap the rewards.
Yeah, definitely. Cool.
Right. We'll leave it here then.
Yes. Thank you so much for all of your insights.
Thank you very much for being always interested and engaging with me and inspiring me to give more examples and metaphors.
Poking around in Let's unpack that. Yeah. Okay. Right. Ben, thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Likewise.
See you next time.
Ciao.
Ciao.